Hello, Mr. White. Hello.
Hello,
You.
you can hear me okay?
Okay, my name is Janice TJ. I'm the mayor of Killaloe, Haggerty and Richards. I'm going to introduce council to you, okay? And then and I'll pass it over to you and you can introduce yourself to us, okay?
Absolutely.
Very far end of the room is Tyler Mask, and of course, you've spoken to him. He is our building official and our bylaw enforcement officer. And beside him is Brian Pekoski, he's a counselor, Ward 3. John Jeffrey, counselor for Ward 3. To my left is Sue Sheridan, our CAO. Ward 2, Carl Keel, Ward 1, and Stanley Pekoski, Ward 2.
Perfect.
Tyler told us, reached out to him, and so we'd love to hear your presentation, so I'll pass it over to you, okay?
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you, Mayor TG, and through you to council. It's a pleasure to be here with you this evening. I believe you all have a copy of my presentation in hard copy or in slides. I'm happy to, I can either share my screen and present those slides directly, if that would be beneficial.
We've got copies of it. We have copies, so you
You
don't
have copies. Okay, so that's perfectly fine. So I'll take you through a little bit about Crins. So the Canadian Radio Communications Information and Notification Service, of which I am the executive director, has been around for about 10 years. We're a not-for-profit corporation that is owned by our municipal members, of which there are about 300 of them across Canada. This would include some municipalities fairly close to you, like Petawawa, Pembroke, Arn Prior, Laurentian Valley. And our job is basically to deal with radio communications towers. So as you probably have a sense, radio communications is a federal undertaking. But at the same time, even though it is technically a federal undertaking, it impacts a number of areas that would typically be within the purview of a land use authority and typically a municipal government. So the planning aspects, the use of land, etc. What happened about 10 years ago, and it still happens today, is of course that municipalities are often being asked to approve towers. And that is because the federal government, the regulations required that proponents of towers come to the local land use authority and ask for input as part of a public consultation process. The challenge somewhat, however, is that it is not a typical development. Towers do not fall within the Planning Act in any province. And therefore, it is ultimately not the decision of councils as to where these towers are sited. The ultimate authority lies with the minister. Now, having said that, the process of public consultation is supposed to take into account the needs of municipalities. So we sort of have this interesting situation where the federal minister of Industry, Science, and Economic Development has the ultimate authority in an area that is traditionally and in most other situations firmly within the hands of municipal government. So about 10 years ago, this sort of balancing act caused a lot of frustration for municipalities and for the public because they didn't understand the process. And so Crins was brought into existence to help facilitate that on a couple of different levels. One is public education. So we do a lot of public outreach in our member municipalities to explain this sort of legislative balance between federal undertaking and municipal needs. Number two, one of the complaints that was often heard was that public consultation wasn't being done very thoroughly. The minimum standards of the federal government puts in place is not what most municipalities would consider up to the standard that they would use for a lot of other developments. So therefore, the public were expecting a certain level of consultation. The federal standard was well below that in terms of what was required, and therefore there was a disconnect between what the public expected and what was being required by law. The other part of it was that municipal planning staff don't deal with tower applications a lot. And so proponents might come and say, well, we need to put a tower in a very specific spot for a technical reason. And municipal planners didn't have access to resources to question those comments from proponents. So they didn't really know how to respond. So quite often they didn't have good ways to ask intelligent questions. So what ended up happening is Crins was formed, and our organization consists of electrical engineers, lawyers, real estate people, people who have been in the industry. And just like Bell or Telus or Rogers or any of the proponents will hire a consultant to acquire tower sites, we are becoming an extension. We're the other side of the table. We are an extension of our municipal members planning staff, and we deal with these tower applications. And we have in-house the necessary tools and skills to evaluate applications in technical ways. We can work with planners to, look at what the where these towers are going and how that fits into the official plan, and help facilitate. And really, our job is to facilitate, to try and make sure that towers are going in the right places while still allowing service to exist. Because quite often it's not a yes or a no. It's quite often what we find in dealing with applications is, okay, we understand the need for a tower, but there may be some better places. There may be better options. And a lot of times the public, once things are explained to them, and once there's been actually a little bit of a dialogue, quite often will either approve the site or will provide some input, which will actually allow us to find a better site. So Crins as an organization basically becomes a specialized planning commission, if you will, for radio communication site. We've been doing this for 10 years now. Our 10th anniversary will be December 13th. And we've been processing applications, like I said, all across Canada, everywhere from Nova Scotia to Salmon Arms, BC, of which there's about 350 municipalities. And like I said, we do quite a bit in the Ottawa Valley area, and also, in terms of Ontario, quite a bit down through from Quebec right through down to Windsor and Sarnia, and then up north through the Ottawa Valley up towards North Bay and areas like that. So that is what we do as an organization. Basically, how we function is we ask, if it costs nothing to become a member of Crins. That's the first thing I should point out. There's no fee to that. How we basically fund our operations is through an application fee, which the proponents pay. And basically, it costs you nothing to participate. What we ask from council is that a bylaw is passed, which basically enables us to act on behalf of the municipality for the purposes of these particular applications. We have a protocol, the Crins reference protocol, which I believe would have been in the package I sent to you. That is the standard protocol. That protocol is used in every municipality who is a member. So it doesn't matter whether you're doing a tower in Pictou, Nova Scotia, Guelph, Ontario, Pembroke, Moncton, New Brunswick, all of them use the exact same protocol, which is the Crins protocol. And so we ask that our members adopt that protocol. So that then becomes the replacement for the Industry Canada default, which, as I pointed out earlier, is somewhat more minimalistic. And then the last component of it is we do use some planning time. We need some planning input from the local planners. So we work at a cost recovery formula with the municipality. So we have our cost. We take the municipality's cost for fully loaded planner time, combine that together, and that becomes the new application fee. And then that application fee is what is then charged to the proponent when they submit an application. We then turn around and hand off the portion that was decided upon to the municipality to recover planner cost time. And then we proceed with the application. So when an application is received, we evaluate it technically. We then will come to the local planner, request their planning input, whether it's zoning, allowable uses, if there's anything that's going on in the area, any related developments that may be impacted by this. We will then ask for the mailing list of the adjacent landowners. We will submit the material to the public. So the proponent doesn't get to do that. We do it. And that's so that we can say definitively that the public has been notified. And we keep a very strong audit logs on that. We prepare the consultation material. It's a very standard package, which I'm happy to provide. And in fact, you can go on the Crins website and search for, say, Pembroke or Arnprior or Petawawa, and you'll see previous public consultation packages and the report that we then, and so we put out the public consultation package, the time elapses, comments are received, we summarize that and write a report for you that we present to you so that you can review it, make sure that it captures all the information. So it kind of offloads planners, the planning time, and it also is a third-party validation of the proponent's proposal. You will then get to sign off on that, and that's the process. So that's a very sort of quick run through of what Crins does. Certainly if you were on our website, you'd be able to see, a much more verbose sort of description of that. And like I said, I think I've provided copies of some of the materials as well to Tyler as well. So that is where I'll end it. And I'll happily accept questions.
Okay, Mr. White, I guess my first question is, what happens when the horse is out of the barn already? So we've got two going, and had we known about you, we may have gotten you to become involved. But so they came in, they started the process, and we heard about it from taxpayers actually, and then Tyler started getting calls and things to indicate that they were planning on putting towers in Killaloe, Haggerty, and Richards. So now the horse is out. So what do we do? Can we? Well,
so I would, Mayor, I would say that the horse is out to the extent that the public is aware of the towers, unless you have written a letter of concurrence to one or both of these proponents. It's not, we're not done yet. Having said that, there are, if the public consultation process that was in place, in my understanding is you did not have a protocol in place. So the protocol is the Industry Canada default. That can't be changed retroactively. Having said that, there are legitimate questions that members of the public may have presented that need to be answered, and we have counsel, and certainly if we were to be asked to audit the consultation, we would make sure that proper answers were provided to the members of the public. And if that was the case, if there was areas of contention, so people felt that a tower shouldn't be in a location for some specific reasons, we would evaluate those. Now, one thing I should be very fair and say is that tower applications are not a popularity contest, insofar as that a lot of people will say, I don't like the tower because I don't like the way it looks. And visual amenity, although it plays a role, it is not, from the minister's perspective, it is not the most important thing. Having said that, the public, if a tower can be moved to a location that will achieve basically the same technical objective, but it's in a more visually appealing or has better visual amenity factors, then that is perfectly a valid approach. So, obviously, what usually happens is a proponent contractor will go in and survey an area and find a willing landowner. And so they will sign a lease and then come to the municipality with a proposal to go forward. And if you have to move it, there has to be a willing landowner to receive it. So that's one of the issues that sometimes people forget. It's not just a matter of, well, just move it over here. Well, somebody owns that land over here and they have to be willing to host the tower. So that is kind of some of the balancing acts that we sometimes deal with. But in terms of, if there's going to be an impact from a tower because of an environmental or a species at risk issue, flora, fauna, affecting waterways, any of these kinds of things, these can be very important factors to identify and adjust. If it's visual amenity, there are certain things that we look at to see if we can reduce the impact visually. But at the end of the day, it may not be the sole factor to say yes for a tower or no for a tower. We do try to work as best we can with proponents. I mean, we're not here to stop every tower. We're here to actually help towers go in, but in a good way. And sometimes some towers are, there will be people that will not be satisfied with a tower in a specific area just because they don't like it. That may not be enough to stop the tower. But we do try to balance all these conflicting, and sometimes competing interests. But there are certain sort of very specific things like environmental concerns or impacts on waterways or impacting common use areas like trails and things like that we take very seriously. And so that would be the type of analysis that we would do.
Okay, the complaints are, I don't want it in my backyard, most of them, which is, yes, I could see the need for a tower. We don't have cell service, but just put it someplace else. That's the stuff we're kind of getting,
And like Janice said, we have had a lot of emails and concerns from the public, everything from, like you said, and even ranging to too close to residential, ice shedding, all these concerns. And I liked when we had chatted, I think it's critical that council has all the necessary information before giving a letter or not for any proposals. And you guys are the professionals that know what that distance should be, what the effects of ice shedding or radio waves. That's not something that we have the knowledge in.
Well, Mr. White, so when we have to face the public, this is something that I said over and over again. We're not experts. I don't want to be an expert. I'm the mayor. I don't want to know about that stuff. So I need somebody that knows about the stuff to tell me the pros and cons and recommend what's the best fit. And you're right. When some people called me, I said, it's not good enough to tell me I just don't want it, because I'm not going to listen to that. You have to have a solid reason for me to consider that this shouldn't happen where it is, because we have a need. And we've been, at county council, we've been approaching governments to say we need more cell coverage, we need better cell coverage. And here, if I'm going to say no to a cell tower, I better darn well be able to defend that position, not because people told me, but because I have some good, strong facts to aid me in my approach. And we as councillors want to be able to say to the public, we have these people, they're experts, you aren't, I'm not, but this is what we got. So, Brian?
Yeah, so a lot of the complaints I've got were regarding safety issues with towers. Fire, towers catching fire, towers falling over, ice falling off. Are there any numbers out there, statistics on that kind of stuff?
Well, so when we look at a tower, we do an icefall analysis. So that gets dealt with right away. And if the tower is too close, we say you can't build it there. You have to move it because of the icefall. Now, there's a very engineered approach to that. It's not a guessing game. There's some very specific physics behind it. In terms of fires, all towers have to be built according to the National Fire Code. There are certain setbacks that are required as far as compounds and entrance and access, fire access. So those all have to be complied with. Typically, I can say with some certainty that all of the major providers know what that is. Usually we get a site plan, we look at it. They have a very standard site plan, to be quite honest, with the exception of utility corridors and access roads. Their compounds are standardized because they have to comply with National Building Code and National Fire Code. So there are standards being applied. The ice fall analysis is a somewhat different thing because it depends on the height of the tower, of course. But again, that's an engineered approach. So we'll look at all that. That's what we do, is just part of normal applications that gets reviewed. And we're able to address that. Safety Code 6, which of course is the electromagnetic radiation that comes off of towers. We look at that and we identify it. As you may or may not be aware, this has been an ongoing thing. 10 years ago when Crins started operation, there was a real push to change to Safety Code 6. That did occur in 2013. So they increased the distances and lowered the limits for that. Excuse me. And so, there's always an ongoing discussion about the impact of that. We actually maintain separately a database. Anybody who's in a jurisdiction, in one of our member jurisdictions, who has been diagnosed with electromagnetic hypersensitivity, if they notify us, we will do a different analysis specifically for that person to determine if the tower proposal would have an impact on them. And we have a certain analysis methodology that we can use for that. So again, public awareness, making sure that people know what's going on. Again, people who have EHS, we do try to identify those people. If they notify us that they have an issue, we'll keep that in mind when somebody is proposing a tower. Not that necessarily always stops it, but it's one of those things where we will tell them, hey, you might want to consider putting some extra filters in your house to address that. So we do some of that sort of public outreach and helping individuals that have certain health concerns that are diagnosed, legitimate ones.
Thank you. Good answers. Sign me up. Just a second.
Well,
any other questions, Council? So, Mr. White, I'm really, this is something that we were looking for. We're not experts. We didn't, and Tyler, I don't want Tyler to be an expert. He's our building bylaw. That's should be his job, not being, finding out if there's sensitivity to a cell tower. Those are things that are way beyond us. So you said the cost recovery is in the fee structure. Now, have they given us a fee? No.
So
we're still in the process.
Yeah. So if I can interject, what we have typically done, and we've done this in a number of municipalities. Interestingly, this scenario is not unusual. Over the past 10 years, a lot of times municipalities come to us in exactly this position. An application has come in, it's been the Industry Canada fault, they find that it's not adequate, and then they address us. So the fee recovery on the go forward will be in place if you become a Crins member, and if you pass the bylaw to join us, that's great. We'll deal with that on the go forward. On the current applications, as a courtesy, we are more than happy to do an audit with no fee from anybody. The first one's free, if you will. So it's not going to cost you anything. You just simply become a Crins member, and then you're part of the family. So at that point, we will do the audit based on the current applications for you. Now, recognizing, and I have to make this point, that it's not the Crins protocol. We will be evaluating it from the perspective of the Industry Canada fault. So the process is not going to necessarily change, and presumably the public has been notified, and that's why you've gotten all this feedback. But we will certainly evaluate the tower to see if there's something that could be done to improve the situation. And we'll certainly be happy to answer public inquiries if they have questions regarding that. So, in terms of interjecting ourselves, we can't impose the Crins process at this point. It's still the Industry Canada default. but we're happy to look at the files and, provide some input. And and then we will provide a recommendation back to council as to whether a letter of concurrence is warranted or not.
Tyler?
So when you say we wouldn't be using the Crins protocol at this time, just for clarification, like you would assess and audit the current ones, but you would still look at those things like the ice shedding and the public's concerns, right? Like the health.
Absolutely. The analysis wouldn't change. The protocol is a process protocol. So it's basically on the going forward, if a new application came in, you would simply tell the proponent you're a Crins member. All the proponents know what Crins is. They on the go forward would simply come to us and start the process. And then we would go forward on that basis. But in the current, when we do an audit, the audit is the same, whether it's the Crins protocol or the Industry Canada protocol. And we would provide that feedback to council, and we'll provide a recommendation.
Oh, good. Okay, do you have a generic bylaw that,
sorry, not a bylaw, Madam Mayor, it's a letter that's.
okay,
Yeah, so there's no contract. So just so we're clear, there is what we call a joining letter. So what we need from council is a bylaw in the record that enables us to act as your representative. And that is to satisfy the Municipal Act under Ontario, but also in the joining letter, and I think the information I sent you would have said this, there are a couple of paragraphs that are very specifically worded that enable us under federal law to act on your behalf. So the letter itself has a couple of paragraphs that state that we would be now your representatives. And so as long as the joining letter is provided on your letterhead signed by the mayor or the CAO, and it is accompanied by the bylaw, I guess we would have to have a fee discussion, but I think that can be done, applied to probably your fees bylaw later. Then that's all that's required.
okay. So I believe all of council's nodding their heads, so I'm assuming we're very interested. I truly think you're the answer to our problems, and we can have somebody calling me and yelling at me, telling me that they're gonna get cancer. I said, is there proof? Have you got proof? Well, no, I think. Well, so I need you to talk to people. You're the expert, so you can tell them, yes, no, maybe, whatever. Like you said, you know what the emissions are and all of that from that tower. So that's sort of what we've been looking for. So I say sooner than later. Council, is there any other questions?
I think it's also nice too, the public, one of their concerns is that we didn't have that.
Yeah, we don't have an expert. They wanted us to get an expert. Well, hello, you're it.
No,
They
the
want
actual
us-
protocol.
Yeah. Oh, the
They wanted
protocol,
us to have a
yes,
process in
protocol.
place,
Yeah.
and that's kind of
And
what,
this is it.
that was the concerns that I was getting, is, you guys don't have a protocol in place. It seems like anybody can go onto the website and click interested in a tower. So that was, I guess, their concern, is that, like anybody, and they could be going up everywhere.
Yeah, so that, like I said, it's as soon as you were able to pass the bylaw, and I think I even provided some information on what similar bylaws look like.
Our next meeting is the November the 2nd, Tuesday, so we'll have council. Anybody, all those in favor of becoming a member of Crins. Okay, you got it. So we're all in favor. So we'll have the paperwork ready for November the 12th. November the 2nd, I'm sorry. I was away on holidays and now I'm like, I can't get back into this work mode. No, November the 2nd, and then November the 3rd, we'll notify you that we passed the bylaw. And
Okay, and at that point, I'll communicate with Tyler, and we'll start the process of an audit.
And then we will, if we get any emails or calls, we can then pass them on to you, Todd?
That's
Okay.
correct.
All right. Any other questions, guys?
No, I think this is good.
This is really good. We're really, really happy about this.
Good.
Yeah.
Where were you earlier in our lives?
Can we pass
We've been around. It's just, I guess we've never had a tower situation in your township before. So, all right, well, if there's nothing else, no other questions.
Well, Todd, thank you very much, and you'll be hearing back from us probably November the 3rd, okay?
Perfect.
And again, well, thank you very much. You're a good salesman, and we'll look forward to working with you. Thank you very much.
All right. Have a good evening, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
on live, right?
We're still on live, so.
Yeah, well, yeah, I know. I'll lie to myself. Okay, so council, Sue will get the paperwork ready then for November the 2nd, and we'll go ahead, and then November the 3rd, we'll let Mr. White know that we're a member.
So I know that, well, Brian and Carly, you won't be here. of course, they
But
won't
you
be here,
voted
but
today,
yes,
so
so
you-
you guys are, just to let you know that that's what's going on.
All right. I didn't even call the meeting to order. Was there any pecuniary or financial interest to declare? Okay, so we got the email from Mr. White, a summary of emails. So all of that information there, that's under the delegation then, that's all gonna be looked after with our bylaw. All right, let's move on to correspondence then. I got this from Nancy.
After this, sorry, the new agenda?
After the new agenda.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's your feelings on this one?
Well, take a look.
Did you get the letter?
No, it's probably Sam.
Yeah, give it to me. It's him that's gonna be looking at. It's a written complaint. It's a written complaint. Give it to Terry.
Okay, so the next page after this one? No. Flip the page. There you go. Is that it?
No.
Keep flipping.
It's from Nancy Quinlan.
Yeah, but Janet, it came from you. You
Yes,
forwarded
yes,
that.
she sent it to me.
That's it? Yeah. Came from Jan's.
Everybody see Nancy Quinlan? Quinlan. Looks like that. It was sent to me. Sally, you got it?
Yeah.
Brian? John?
That's in tonight's stuff.
Yeah, it was right after the new agenda. Yeah. Should we send it to our property standards guy, or do you want to just tell her to go?
It is terrible, actually, sorry.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
does it meet any of the criteria that we have? Safety, those are the things that we base our property standards on.
Yeah, it's health and safety and it is a business too, so you gotta keep both of those things in mind, right?
Okay,
For things being out
okay.
too, so.
Yeah, business requires sometimes that things
So
are out.
it's, yeah. You can look into it, whatever you want.
Does anybody, well, I think you should evaluate it to tell us whether it is a safety issue.
Mhm.
And then come back with a recommendation, or you can answer her directly. What does council think?
Well, the letter came to you, so.
Okay.
You know, so.
So you evaluate it and,
Yeah.
okay, I'm gonna, we'll have to answer her and tell her that it's being reviewed, eh?
Reviewed or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so, can you answer her?
Yeah.
And tell her that, it came before council and council has sent it to the department for review. Is that okay?
Yes.
Is everybody okay with that? And George, about the, she's the principal at the school, about the She doesn't wanna come
And there was a follow-up email from Perkins that Gwen
Yes.
Stewart had.
Gwen Stewart
contacted.
sent me did I not forward it?
Yeah, and it was in,
I don't remember, but then again, it
I,
could be in amongst the other.
So Gwen Stewart, she sent me, she CC'd me on the request to leave Porkins. She asked Lee what it cost, if council was within line, checking up on us. So then Lee
contacted me
contacted you.
and said, was this another issue or a different crosswalk than the original one? And I said, not as far as I know. So
Okay.
he
No,
spoke
it's the
to
same one.
Gwen
Okay.
and told her exactly what was needed. He sent the pedestrian crossing policy, so she was quite
Well
aware
aware.
of what's.
Okay, so then they're gonna, Anne wants to come back next year and look if we can find the money in the budget. I think we should tell her that she should be looking in her own budget.
I think the school board should pay for that, like, why should
Yeah.
taxpayers, big and rich should pay for something?
Everybody's
Yeah,
downloading to us.
I know, we get everything
Yeah.
down.
But anyway, so you know there'll be some pressure.
Yeah.
Next year, so, I don't think we have to reply to any of that, eh?
I admit there's a lot of small kids out there.
Oh, absolutely,
Like, you know,
but
like, the school board should look after
they're
the
kids,
school board, right?
that's right. Okay, the next is the, I got this, it's, tomorrow, climate action aware, and they've sent me about 10 emails.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, she even called me and said, did they make a decision? I said, well, it's going on Thursday, so, well, let me know right away.
Is this?
It's at 3:30 on tomorrow afternoon.
Waterfront
I
Festival.
have attended a lot of climate issues at conferences. And, I mean, I know there's lots of stuff out there, but
I can't,
well, I mean, I could, but I don't see this. Anyways, I suggest, if that's okay with council, I suggest that we turn them down and say that we're
yeah,
all busy. Is that okay? Anybody disagree with me? I mean, I'll go if you really think I have to, but is everybody okay?
yeah.
Show of hands that you're okay answering the way I said. Okay, thank you. The Butter Tart Festival,
I love butter tarts.
me too, Arnie. Doesn't love me though. November
Sugar-free
7th.
ones
Is there
How
sugar-free?
can
and
you make-
keto ones.
How can you make butter tarts without sugar?
There will even be sugar-free butter tarts and keto
Oh,
butter tarts.
now we're talking. November 7th. That's kind
Oh, I think, sorry,
of, that's Sunday.
that's okay.
We're, oh, that agricultural, that's at the.
Brentford
the
Fairgrounds.
X, Yeah, the X, yeah. We might do it, I could get you.
Oh, here we go again.
Yeah, and there's a reply, Chris has answered her questions. And he strongly suggests and saying, this is like third time, this is it.
Yeah, if you read the very back,
Page,
well, the reply and then if you flip, it was attached. Like this.
Okay, I might go to that, guys. Okay, Mayor.
Get the recipes for keto butter tarts and sugar-free ones.
bring us some sugar ones.
This is the washroom thing.
Yeah,
So this is the third time that we're looking at this.
there's a summary here on Chris's email.
Chris,
It's,
yeah, yeah.
It's really good, yeah.
Yeah, Sue told me that he was gonna do that. I suggest to council that we submit Chris's answers to her and that we close the book on this issue.
Yes,
If and when we get more requests, we will not respond, and I'll have staff not respond, as long as council's okay with that.
Yeah.
And you don't change your mind. Those in favor of submitting Chris's answer to her, and we're closing the book on the issue, pick your hands up. Okay, unanimous, okay, so that's. Where's my list? That was it.
That was it.
Okay, And the rest are all about cell towers. Unfinished business. Any unfinished business? Anything that you needed to talk about today? Especially the guys that aren't gonna be back. Oh, sorry, Stanley, I didn't see.
We were chatting here the other day with Brian. Remember about a year or two ago, we had people there were looking to see if they could get something on the line of a sidewalk, even maybe on one side of that remaining portion of Simpson Pit Road, if the county was doing it next year, you know.
Sorry, I can't remember, but yeah, keep talking. Yeah, I remember.
Maybe before their budgeting starts for that, it would be great to put a bug in their ear that if there was a possible way at all, because there are a lot of people walking along that stretch of road.
Well, yeah, not a problem. The county of Renfrew has presented to county councilors a cost sharing. So they're trying to download costs. As you can see, they don't want to pay for, crosswalks. That's their road, by the way. It's a school board issue and it's a county road, and yet the municipality is being asked to pay for it.
Without a doubt, I agree that I don't think that anybody should be the school board in that particular case. But this walkway, when I look at not hundreds, not thousands, but millions of dollars spent on bicycle lanes. And one that really irks me is that one from Maynooth all the way to Peterborough. And I've traveled that road a lot, and I've only seen 3 bicycles on there yet. And I'm sure that cost probably 30 or 40 million dollars. So, I mean, yes, I know they'll have to look at maybe government, whether it's federal, provincial, wherever it's coming from, to help fund this, but if they do it in advance when they're preparing for that, they maybe go through the right hoops, eh?
Okay, but how long is it? Whereabouts is it? Remind me.
I think if it started somewhere where the post office was, from there to the village, it don't have to go all the way,
A kilometer?
or maximum, eh? I think the maximum would be.
Be under a kilometer.
Under a kilometer?
So, excuse me.
Yeah.
Has that been paved yet, Stanley?
No,
Are they doing it?
that's supposed to
Yeah, but
be.
sidewalks are our,
No. Why can't they widen the shoulders like they do on the highways?
no, but
Yeah.
just let me finish.
No, sorry.
We maintain the sidewalks. That's, once they're in, then we maintain them. But we would ask the county to put it in. I'm gonna tell you, they're gonna
They
say.
don't have to put a
Yeah,
sidewalk.
no.
No, just
Okay.
widen that.
What they have going through around there,
Mhm.
which is not a sidewalk, it's just an extension of the pavement.
Of the pavement,
A wider-
okay, and they might do that for the bicycle.
Like a bicycle lane.
Yeah, now that they might do,
What they're doing out here, this highway is as wide as the 401. out here
yeah,
now.
yeah, okay.
Like,
Well, okay, well, let's write a letter to the
And,
county.
I mean, it wouldn't have to even be both sides.
Yeah, people could walk.
Because I know that they're gonna have trouble there because of the width. There's ditches,
Mhm.
but if they could, I'm sure they could quite easily, I've been looking at it there the last couple of days, and I think that there's room there to squeeze.
Yeah, we gotta get that letter in then, because they are gonna be, okay, so let's write a letter to Lee Perkins. And asking him if they could, since they're redoing,
Bicycle lane.
I know, but that's the key word,
But it's,
I'm
it
serious.
is a safety
yes,
issue there, there's no
Yes.
doubt about it.
Bicycle
Already
lane.
been at least one death that I know of,
yes,
hit by a car there.
yes. No, I have no problem,
Bicycle lane that have more thump than a sidewalk.
pardon me?
A bicycle-
Yeah, well, what if we put sidewalk / bicycle lane? What if we put it that way?
What do they call that when you went, like going through Round Lake? That's not a sidewalk, so is that just an extension of the road or what? What is that?
It's literally, I mean, it's,
It's just pavement and with the gutter in between, that's all.
Eagleville has a lot of that too,
That's all we need there on the pit road.
Yeah, okay. Sue, do you get sort of what they're asking for?
Bicycle
Okay.
lane.
Show of hands then, that we write that letter to the county asking them? Good, okay, good. Thank you, Stanley, for bringing that up. Any other unfinished business? New business? Oh, yes, I do.
Yes, I already forgot.
Thank God for you. So I had a meeting with staff, the department heads, and there was a couple of things that I have to ask. Chris said he wants council to direct him about the ribbons on the bridge. So we had those orange ribbons on the bridge. Now we're getting complaints because they look bad, they're torn. And he said he didn't want to take them off until council gave him approval, because you know that there's people out there that criticize, but he said we're getting criticized because they look tattered. And so he wants to permission. First of all, he wouldn't take them down unless he called Pikwaktagon to ensure that they wouldn't be insulted. So if somebody calls to say, how come you took them down? He could say, well, I notified Pikwaktagon and they were in bad shape and they agreed that it was okay. So that's what he would do.
Yeah.
Yes,
I had about 100 ribbons on my deck. And according to my wife, you can take them down the 1st of October. That's
Okay.
what she told me.
okay, well, she must have heard that somewhere. Okay.
I don't know.
Well, okay. Does count, show of hands who agrees we'll take them down, and he'll call Pikwaktagon for approval. Okay, good. So you can tell him to go ahead with that.
Kind of faded.
So Bob Garrow came, he brought me a letter that the fireworks man sent a letter saying that because of COVID, they've incurred a lot more costs. So obviously next year, they want us to book as soon as possible to make sure that they'll be available. And secondly, they want to know, they're not going to be able to provide the kind of fireworks they provided to us for the cost because everything's gone up. So we're looking at more money. So Bob said that last year it cost us $16,000 and it was $4,000 for the barge, and we didn't pay for that because they had made a mistake. So in reality, if we wanted to do places and if we wanted to do it somewhat like we did it, but we're not gonna have the kind of fireworks we had for the money. The cost has gone up so much. So it's $20,000 for half-assed kind of fireworks at the two spots. So Bob wants to know, A, are we gonna split it? B, he needs to know a date. And are we willing to pay for the barge? And are we willing to up the ante so that the fireworks can be just as good as before?
So my question is, when does he need to know? I know if we book him for July the 1st, like we always do.
Well, that's the date, we
Yeah.
know the date.
And I think that, and this is just me, I think that we should go ahead and book, but it is a budget item if we want to do a $20,000 thing.
They want to know that though.
They want to know
To
that
book
right
The
away.
day that he books, he has to give 50% of the money. So,
He's saying 40 to 50%.
yeah, or they won't come.
So
Okay,
the highest estimate is about 20 grand.
No, that's the starting.
Oh, boy.
Okay, first of all, do we want to split it? Oh, sorry.
Do we need that barge? Is that
No, they just were better. I mean, it created a better show because you have it out right there instead of kind of in there. You know, they put it out and then everybody could see
more
it.
people can see it, I guess.
More people could see it.
Like the birds was 4 grand or something. wasn't it?
4,000,
Yeah.
I was looking at it from the other side of the lakes and it didn't make any difference.
Yeah. Well, the compliments we got were because I think it was visible. I mean, yes, we can do it without the barge, but
That's a
again,
question, I just wondered, because that's a $4,000 expense.
yeah, and that's, we do it off the beach, you know. But the guy said they're not near as good unless you have them on the barge. Plus, it's a safety issue, a lot safer out there than near the trees and near cottages. So those people around there was all happy because they knew those fireworks weren't gonna hit their cottage roof. Okay, I'm gonna go back. Do you want to split? Do you want to give 2 shows or do you want to go back to the 1? Okay, nobody's talking. Oh,
I say go back to the one.
okay.
I like the idea of two.
Yeah, so do I. So do I. All right, let's take a vote. John's suggesting one. Stanley, one or two?
Well, I know the cost is going to be something out of this world, right? And then if COVID is going to get better, maybe we should look at one.
Okay. Carl? One. Because it's
It'll be a tie.
Two.
John?
One.
One? Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought you said two. Okay, well then,
I wouldn't change my mind.
for me?
You said one at
I've
the start.
heard that before.
It's
Sorry,
tied.
no, it's not. Oh, yeah, it is. Well, it's not tied.
You
It's
said
3-3. Daddy's not here.
I know, but that's
Oh,
a
we
tie
can't
right
break
now.
it.
Yeah, it's a tie, because I say.
Yeah, I
two.
knew you, because you said, yeah, you said you
Can't
wanted,
break it.
so we can't break it.
Yeah, well, Teddy's gonna say one, because it's
Yeah.
in Killoo. Okay, let's have one, but let's move it to Round Lake. Is that okay?
Sure.
Are you okay,
Well,
Carl? We're gonna move it to
no.
Round Lake.
It's been here for like 40 years, for God's sake.
What was the idea, have 1 year in Round Lake, 1 year in Killoo?
Yeah, that's two. That's what I'm asking you.
But 1 year,
Opposite.
Oh.
opposite years, not the
Oh,
same
you'll,
years.
you'll confuse the people, you know, they can be so easily.
You might as well kick us all out.
Stanley, if we put it in Round Lake, would you agree to one then in Round Lake?
Where are you gonna have it? Where are you
One
gonna
minute.
have it?
We can have it at the Cheryl Boyle Park.
1 year in Round Lake, 1 year here.
Where are you gonna park all the cars at Sherwood Park after?
Along the highway, just like we
In
do
the
here.
lake?
No, we park along the highway here.
I know, but you don't have the space in Sherwood Park to have 150 cars.
Yeah, but we, with COVID, we don't want people coming. We want, no, we don't want them.
Well, COVID's gonna be over in 2 years.
Maybe it'll be like in Russia, 1100 day time.
Anyway, I don't, I think our bottom line is, are we willing to put out $20,000 for fireworks? What's
Well, if
our,
we're only going to one place,
what's our normal? And I'm just gonna.
$16,000 we spent last
That's
year.
last year, but that's because we didn't have one the year before. Eight is our normal?
Yeah.
Okay.
But because we did, no, yeah, I guess we have to decide whether we want to put 16 or 8.
See, that's what we were talking
But
about.
8 won't get us near what we're looking for because
the costs are.
the costs are.
Well, if you're looking at.
Cost of that dynamite, whatever that stuff, fireworks.
Yeah, if you're looking at it being a 50% increase, well, I think we're only gonna, I don't know.
Well, we're tied, so.
Then we'd probably be looking at 30 grand if we're going.
Yeah, we can't do that. I can't justify spending that much money on fireworks.
Blow up into the goddamn atmosphere.
Well, it's,
Climate change.
things have been, you know.
We could buy everybody a sparkler.
Okay, I'm assuming Teddy will say 1, so,
I think we're-
okay, so I'll tell Bob that it's not gonna be split.
Yeah,
So the normal amount of money is 8,000. We spent 16 last year. He's not gonna give us near the show for the 8. So what do you wanna what do you wanna spend?
So what's the price range? Any price range at all?
No, they just said.
If you
It's
want
gonna go up
the
50%.
How much percentage?
40 to 50%.
percent more,
Yeah,
So we charge?
so you're looking at
What do we spend,
12?
sorry?
so
12?
normally is 8.
So we're
You have to
talking.
go to 15,000 just to get the same.
no, I can't.
12 or 13,000. Well, I'm telling you, you wanna piss people off. First of all, we're gonna have the whole Ethan Round Lake, it's gonna be on our kid. Oh, yeah. I said,
Yeah, that's okay.
no, we're gonna have a bunch of complaints from Round Lake. They really liked it.
I know,
But you.
I don't think.
I
we
guess
can
it
just-
makes a difference whether it's COVID or not, because if COVID, we're not gonna have those people in the ground. You know, and I don't even know if I like the idea of having people there, that close, just getting over COVID or whatever it is. So we'll still have to make people sit in the cars and all that stuff.
But they're saying by what, March, they're saying no masks and
What
everything.
if, okay, so we voted to, do one place and that'll be Killaloo. What if we put the cost at $12,000? That gives about a 40 to 50% increase on the,
Yeah,
okay?
Yeah.
And see what he can give us for the 12,000 here.
yeah,
And we'll have to follow the rules. So if the rules say you can't get together, then we'll have to do it the same thing. People have to stay in their cars. Chris will do it on YouTube and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
How is that?
yeah, yeah.
Show of hands? All right,
No barge.
no barge.
Oh,
No.
$4,000. Then Stanley said he gives aluminum boat.
Maybe by that time they'll all have around make a nice tower to look at.
Okay. You can tell Bob all of that then?
Yeah.
Okay, that was it, all right. Any other new business? Anything in committee of the whole? Tyler, thank you very much for being here this evening, because it helped us and we got some of our answers, you know, that gentleman, Mr. White, very good presentation.
Thanks for bringing it to our attention.
And thank you for bringing it to our attention. It is the answer to our problem. They're experts, and I'll tell you, if Mr. White tells me that they've looked at everything and the tower should go where it is, it's a lot easier to say that, right?
Yeah.
Because we had experts review it.
Yeah.
And,
And they can't say we haven't done it.
no, and people can't say that we didn't get an expert, so as long as that's ready for November the 2nd, and if council passes it then, which the 4 of us will, then we can go ahead and do that, and then Tyler, you can, after that date, you can start telling people to send that'll take a lot of heat off of you and let you do your work that you were supposed to be doing. Okay, anything else, anybody? Sue, anything else? Did I cover everything I was supposed to?
Yeah.
You did. All right. Okay, a motion to adjourn.
Moved by Deputy Plansky, second by Carl Key, motion to adjourn special meeting held on October 28th for the township of Phillips.
All those in favor? Carry.